Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, dear student. It's me, Dr. Mansoor Khan, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, Kohat University of Science and Technology. The course which is assigned to me is Analytical Chemistry 2 with a course code Chem 352. Today I am going to deliver my 8th lecture, and today's topic is Spectroscopy 2. Now the question arises that what is a spectroscopy? Spectroscopy is the study of phenomena that are caused by the interaction of electromagnetic radiations with matter. This phenomena is called spectroscopy. Now the instrument in which this phenomena takes place, in which the radiation interact with matter, is called spectrometer. The spectrometer is the instrument that measures the amount of light absorbed or emitted. So all the machinery in which the spectroscopy takes place is called spectrometer. Now another question is that what is spectrum? The result of spectrometer, the output of spectrometer, is called spectrum. The result of spectroscopy is called spectrum. What is a spectrum? It is the plot of amount of light absorbed by the sample versus the wavelength of light. When you draw the amount of light absorbed by the sample with wavelength, then you will obtain a graph which is called a spectrum. This spectrum is called the output of spectrometer, from where we can obtain quantitative and qualitative analysis. Now let's come to the classification. Spectroscopy can be classified into absorption spectroscopy, emission spectroscopy, and scattering spectroscopy. We will discuss all this spectroscopy one by one. Now the first one is absorption spectroscopy. Now absorption spectroscopy is divided into number 1, molecular absorption spectroscopy, X-ray spectroscopy, UV visible spectroscopy. Now in molecular absorption spectroscopy, it is further divided into X-ray spectroscopy, UV visible spectroscopy, IR spectroscopy, microwave spectroscopy, nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy, and atomic absorption spectroscopy. The atomic absorption spectroscopy, emission spectroscopy, molecular emission spectroscopy involve fluorescence spectroscopy and phosphorescence spectroscopy, while in atomic emission spectroscopy include atomic fluorescence, plasma emission spectroscopy, flame emission spectroscopy, emission spectroscopy, or this is also called emission spectrography. The scattering spectroscopy is further divided into turbidimetry and nephelometry. Now the electron which is involved during the transition, when electromagnetic radiation collide with the matter, especially the UV visible spectroscopy, electron transition takes place. So these electron transitions include closed shell electron, sigma bonded electron, non-bonding electrons, and pi bonding electrons. These excitation depends on different circumstances and different situation, and also depends upon the nature of the molecule. Now the type of electron transition can be represented graphically, which shows the sigma to sigma excitation, which is the highest energy, pi to pi star energy, n to pi star energy, and n to sigma star energy. So these are different type of excitation which takes place during the interaction of electromagnetic radiation with matter. Now the transition is further divided into allowed transition. So what is allowed transition? Allowed transition is the transition with higher probability. Now those transition whose probability is high is called allowed transition. This transition will takes place frequently. This transition will takes place most often. And the other one is forbidden transition. As the name indicate, the transition with low probability is called transition or forbidden transition, and the forbidden transition is those transition which occur less often in the molecule. Now, what are the excited state of electron? Excited state of molecules can be calculated by calculating its spin multiplicity. So, number one is singlet state. In singlet state, the probability of a molecule is 1. As we have seen that in singlet state the spin multiplicity of a molecule is 1. Now when a molecule from single excited state to from single ground state to singlet excited state, if the transition from singlet excited state occur to the singlet ground state, then this transition is called singlet transition. On the other hand, if the spin multiplicity is 3 and also the excited state spin transition is 3, then this type of transition is called triplet to triplet transition. But in some cases there is change in the spin also occur, but it is very rare, so that's why it is called forbidden transition. Now there are some selection rules for molecule to undergo transition. It's fun. According to this rule, the spin of an electron during transition must remain the same. As we have mentioned earlier, that in some cases change in spin takes place, but it is very rare, very often. So according to this rule, the spin of an electron during transition must remain the same, or you can say the spin multiplicity of an electron must be the same of excited and that of ground state. For example, singlet to singlet, this is most often takes place and this is called allowed transition, and singlet to triplet state, this is very rare and this is called forbidden transition. So according to one selection rule, spin multiplicity of an electron must be the same. This is called spin multiplicity selection rule. The second one is Laporte forbidden transition rule. According to this rule, the transition from symmetrical to symmetrical are forbidden, while transition of an electron from symmetrical to asymmetrical are allowed. It means the symmetry of a molecule must be changed during the transition. So according to this rule, symmetrical to asymmetrical is allowed, while symmetrical to symmetrical is forbidden transition. So this is a Laporte rule. This Laporte rule is based on symmetry of the molecule in ground and excited state. So the symmetry of the molecule must be changed during the transition of a molecule. Another selection rule is simultaneous excitation rule. According to this rule, The simultaneous excitation of more than one electron is forbidden, while transition of an electron from symmetrical to asymmetrical are allowed. According to this rule, simultaneous excitation, when one electron excited to go to the excited level, and then it is very rare that the other molecule also go to the excited state. No, this is not possible. Simultaneous excitation is forbidden, while excitation of only one electron is allowed. So one electron allowed, more than one electron it is forbidden. As I have also mentioned in my first few slides, that the effect of structure on absorption of a molecule, the absorption of electromagnetic radiation also affect the structure of molecule. So based on these, the transition is sigma to sigma star, n to sigma star, pi to pi star, and n to pi star. So regions include, for UV region, large wavelength for far UV. So for sigma to sigma star, far UV region will be absorbed. For n to sigma star, larger wavelength, far UV will be absorbed. For pi to pi star, shorter wavelength, near UV will be absorbed or near UV region. For n to pi star, visible region will be absorbed. So the example for sigma to sigma star is CH4, which absorb electromagnetic radiation at 125. N to pi star is C2H and methane, while for N to pi star there is, the example is methanol, while for pi to pi star butadiene, while for N to pi star nitrobutane is the example. Now let's come to explain the ultraviolet and visible spectroscopy. The absorption of ultraviolet and visible radiation by molecule is dependent upon the electronic structure of the molecule. Okay. So ultraviolet and visible radiation, the absorption of ultraviolet and visible radiation by the molecule is dependent upon the electron structure of the molecule. So the ultraviolet and visible spectrum is called electronic spectrum. The absorption of light energy by organic compound in the visible and ultraviolet region involve the promotion of electron in sigma, pi and n orbital from the ground state to the higher energy state. This is also called an instrument. So now, what is a spectrometer? As we have explained it earlier, that spectrometer is an instrument which can measure the absorbance of a sample at any wavelength. This is the block diagram of spectrometer. A spectrometer consists of UV visible source which provide electromagnetic radiation, a monochromator and beam splitter. Now this monochromator and beam splitter convert the polychromatic light into single chromatic light. In double beam spectrophotometer there are two cuvettes, one is for the reference and one for the sample. This is because for comparison to achieve better efficiency, after passing the electromagnetic radiation through sample and the reference, it will go to the detector, where detector compare the intensity of reference material with the sample material. The difference is measured and then it is shown in the computer which is based on log intensity of the incident radiation to the intensity which is shown in the form of absorbance. So when we obtained the graph of absorbance with the wavelength, this is called spectrum, and from here we can obtain the results. Another important parameter, another important section in UV visible spectroscopy is absorption law. This is called Beer-Lambert's law. Based on this law, the whole UV visible spectroscopy is based. According to this law, absorbance is equal to logarithmic ratio of intensity of incident radiation to the intensity of emitted radiation, where finally when we derive the whole law, absorbance is equal to ECL, where E is the is A is equal to ECL, C is basically for concentration, L is for length, and E is for epsilon, which shows the excitation probability. Here I naught is the original light intensity, or it is called intensity of incident radiation. I is transmitted light intensity, or intensity of transmitted radiation. E is molecular extinction coefficient. This is also called molar absorptivity. This is used for the probability of excitation. C is concentration in moles per liter. L is length of the sample cell in centimeter. This graph shows the relationship of absorbance with concentration. So when we draw, Beer law basically done this. So there is certain deviation from the Beer's law. If you increase the concentration, there are some deviation occur, which is positive deviation and negative deviation. When you decrease the concentration far more, then there is also deviation which will be positive and negative deviation. So for Beer law, first we will draw standard calibration curve, and when we obtain the standard calibration curve, in the middle of this standard calibration curve, the concentration will be used, then on which Beer's law is 100% effective. Now types of deviation. So the type of deviation include chemical deviation, which include association, dissociation deviation, polymerization, and isobastic point. Real deviation include instrumental deviation, which is a polychromatic light, unstable light source, detector response, mismatched cavit, shade, and stray light. So these are real deviation. Now the solvent which will be used in UV visible spectroscopy include acetonitrile, whose maximum absorption occur at 190, chloroform, whose maximum absorption takes place at 240, cyclohexane, which absorb electromagnetic radiation at 195, 1,4-dioxane absorb at 215 nanometer, 95% ethanol, which occur at 205 nanometer, N-hexane 201, methanol 205, isooctane 195, and water, which obtained at 190. Terms describing UV absorption. Now the first one is chromophore. Chromophores are functional group that give electron transition. Our chromophores are that part of the compound which gives color to the compound. Our chromophores are that part of the molecule which is responsible for the absorption of UV visible spectroscopy. So the first one is carbonyl. So carbonyl absorb at 280, azo group absorb at 262, nitro group absorb at 270, thioketone absorb at 330, nitrite absorb at 230, conjugated diene absorb at 233, conjugated trienes absorb at 268, conjugated tetraene absorb at 215, benzene absorb at 261. So these are all the chromophores which are responsible for the absorption of electromagnetic radiation. Now there is another terminology along with chromophore is auxochromes. Auxochromes are substituents with unshared pairs like OH, NH, SH. When attached to pi chromophore, they generally move the absorption maximum to longer wavelength. So auxochromes are that group. When they attach to chromophore, they increase the wavelength of maximum absorption. This is also called redshift because red electromagnetic radiation, the wavelength of red light is low as compared to blue. So this is called redshift because it take the UV wavelength toward the longer wavelength. Another one is bathochromic shift. Shift to longer, also called redshift. And hypsochromic effect, shift to shorter wavelength. These are also called blue shift. Hyperchromic effect increase the absorption intensity. Hypochromic effect decrease in the absorption intensity. So these are four terminologies. One is bathochromic shift, this is called red shift. Hypsochromic shift, which is called shorter wavelength, also called blue shift. Hyperchromic effect increase the absorption intensity. Hypochromic effect decrease the absorption intensity, and these all are known as auxochromes. Now we will take some examples in which we will explain the absorption of ultraviolet and visible radiation in the organic compound. The first one is saturated compounds. So alkanes only possess sigma bond and no lone pair of electrons. So only the high energy sigma to sigma star transition is observed in the far UV visible radiation. Now, as we have seen from the diagram, the two electrons which are present in the ground state, it is in the singlet ground state, it will go to the sigma star because only sigma star is available for excitation. So in saturated compound, pi to pi star transition usually. Saturated compound with unshared electron. Examples are alcohol ethers, amine, sulfur compound. In the cases of simple aliphatic of these compounds shows n to sigma star in most often observed transition, like the alkane synthesis is the most often at shatter at 200 degrees centigrade. Alkenes, in this case isolated example of this compound, the pi to pi star is observed at 175. Example is ethene. Even though this transition is the lower energy than sigma to sigma star, it is still in the UV. However, the transition energy is sensitive to substitution. Substitution effect. So substitution has also effect. So when you add some group to these chromophores, then there is substitution takes place. For example, if you add R group to an ethene, it shifts to 180. If you add cis group, double R group, then it shifts to 183 degrees centigrade. If you shift trans group, then again it does there is no effect. So this effect is thought to be through what is termed hyperconjugated or sigma bonded resonance. Similarly, the lone pair of electron on NOSX can be extended conjugated system. So the substituent increment of the substitution: SR group 45, NR2 group 40, OR group 30 and Cl group 5. Dienes. In this case of isolated example of these compounds, pi to pi star is observed in the far UV. Conjugated dienes, the observed shift from conjugation simply that in increasing the conjugation decrease the energy required for electronic excitation. The following is the example that shows that with increase in dienes, the wavelength is decreasing and the intensity of absorption light is also increasing. Extending this effect out of longer conjugated system, the energy gap between progressively smaller. So it means that if you increase the conjugation, the energy gap between HOMO and LOMO decreases and it goes toward the longer wavelength and low energy takes place. So that's why in UV visible radiation, in UV visible spectroscopy, if some compounds are in far UV region, then we do some modification, increase its conjugation and we convert it back into visible radiations. Alkynes, in the case of isolated example of this compound, the pi to pi star is observed in the far UV, for example CH, double bond CH at 170. Carbonyl compound unsaturated system incorporating NRO can undergo N to pi star transition to 80 nanometer. In addition to pi to pi star transition, 190 nanometer, most N to pi star transition are forbidden and hence are of low intensity. For exochromic substitutions on the carbonyl such as NR2, OH, OR, X gives a pronounced hypsochromic effect on the N to pi star transition and a lesser bathochromic effect on the pi to pi star transition. Hypsochromic effect on N to pi stars are given as under. Aromatic compounds. On first inspection, benzene has a 6 pi molecular orbitals, 3 filled pi orbitals and 3 unfilled pi orbitals. So the transition basically takes place to pi star, and most of the excitation are pi to pi star, and these are given as under, that most of the transition in the benzene takes place from pi to pi star, and pi to pi star the intensity is high and it is a loud transition. The spectrum of benzene has two bands at 240, at 204 and 254 nanometer, and transition is fleetingly allowed due to the disruption of symmetry by the vibrational energy state, the overlap of which is observed in what is called fine structure. So primary band, secondary band and fine structure can be obtained. Substitution effect. Polynuclear aromatics. When the number of fused aromatic ring increase, the lambda for the primary and secondary band also increase. Substitution with unsaturated electron. If the group attached to the ring bear n electron, they can induce a shift in the primary and secondary absorption bands. Non-bonding electron extended the pi system through resonance, lowering the energy of transition. More available n pairs of electron give greater shifts. Substituent effect, electron donating and electron withdrawing effect. Application of UV visible spectroscopy. It is a traditional chemistry, life science, microbiology, food and agriculture, material science, optical components, pharmaceutical research, petrochemical research, cosmetic industry and quality industry. It means that the application of UV visible spectroscopy is in almost all fields, and we can use the UV visible spectroscopy in almost everywhere. This is the Jablonski diagram, from where we will explain in our next lecture the fluorescence and phosphorescence. These are the references. If you want to study this topic, you should go to Judy Christian, which is 7th edition of Analytical Chemistry and also Scooge and West. Thank you so much for your patience.